It started as a regular day in the Arizona desert dry heat, endless sand, and silence stretching for miles. Two female DEA agents, Agent Carla Reyes and Agent Dana Hill, were sent out on what seemed like a routine mission. Their task? To investigate. Whispers of a hidden drug route cutting through a forgotten mountain range. They were experienced, smart, and trained for danger. But on that day, both women disappeared without a single trace. No radio contact, no footprints, no leads. Just their empty truck found parked at the edge of a remote trail for 8 years. Their case remained one of the DEA's deepest mysteries. Then something strange happened. A group of miners working deep inside a collapsed cave system made a discovery that stopped them cold. It wasn't gold, it wasn't silver. It was something far more chilling. Buried under layers of rock and time was a sealed metal case, old, rusted, and covered in dust. But what was inside didn't just raise questions, it reopened the case. Completely, the evidence was untouched. Personal items belonging to Carla and Dana, a worn-out D badge, and then something else. Something that didn't belong. What were the agents doing this deep in the mountains? Were they following a lead that no one knew about? And how did their belongings end up in a cave no one had access to? The answers don't come easy, and what the miners found next will leave investigators and you questioning everything you thought you knew. This isn't just a story about two missing agents. It's about what happens when truth is buried too deep and someone finally dares to dig it up. Stay tuned. The real story is just beginning. 8 years earlier, Carla Reyes and Dana Hill were known for being one of the DEA's toughest field duos. Both women had worked their way up through the ranks, respected for their sharp instincts and unshakable courage. Their last known mission was linked to a growing cartel suspected of smuggling through old mining routes near the Arizona-Mexico. Border locals spoke of strange activity in the hills and marked trucks, late-night movement, and even missing hikers. Carla and Dana were sent to check it out. But after radio silence and no sign of struggle, the case went cold fast. No suspects. No bodies. Just endless theories and unanswered questions. Now, 8 years later, that sealed metal case found in the cave is turning everything upside down. The contents were officially logged and sent to federal labs, but rumors quickly spread. Items found inside didn't just belong to the agents. There was also an old notebook filled with hand-drawn maps, strange symbols, and names that didn't match any known suspects. Even more confusing, one of the cave walls appeared to have fresh carvings, as if someone had been there. Recently, locals say that cave wasn't on any map. It was sealed by a rockslide years ago and untouched until mining resumed. So how did personal items from 2017 end up in a place no one should have had access to? And why were there no signs of the agents themselves? No bones, no clothing, nothing. The deeper investigators look, the more confusing it gets. Whispers of corruption, hidden tunnels, and off-the-record missions are beginning to surface. Some believe the agents found something they weren't supposed to. Others think they never left the mountains at all. Whatever the truth is, it's still buried in those caves and someone wants it to stay there. The lead investigator on the reopened case, Special Agent Marcus Hale, had once worked alongside Carla and Dana. He remembered their last call, clearly a short, tense message that ended with static. For years, that moment haunted him. Now, standing at the cave's mouth, staring into the darkness, it all came rushing back. Hale wasn't just chasing a cold case anymore. He was searching for the truth about what really happened to his friends. As the evidence from the cave was analyzed, the story grew even more tangled. Forensic teams found traces of synthetic compounds deep in the rock layers, chemicals often linked to unregulated drug labs. That raised a chilling possibility. Was the cave not just a hiding spot, but part of an abandoned cartel operation? And if so, Why wasn't it on any D radar back in 2017? At the same time, strange gaps began showing up in the original case files. Audio logs were missing. Satellite footage from the area was strangely incomplete. Even internal memos from the DEA command at the time had pages blacked out. Hale started to wonder if someone inside had worked to bury the truth. Meanwhile, a retired park ranger came forward with a story he'd kept to himself all these years. He claimed he saw two women matching the agent's descriptions, escorted by armed men days after their official disappearance. He reported it, but no one followed up. His file was marked closed, no evidence. A new theory was forming: maybe Carla and Dana hadn't vanished by accident. Maybe they uncovered something so dangerous someone made sure they couldn't report it. As Hale kept digging, he realized the cave wasn't just hiding answers. It was guarding secrets someone still wanted buried. And now, those secrets were starting to come to light. Agent Hale's investigation was beginning to stir attention in places he didn't expect. Anonymous calls started coming in, distorted voices warning him to stop digging. At first, he brushed them off. But when his home was broken into and only his case notes were taken, he knew someone was watching. It wasn't just about two missing agents anymore, it was about something far bigger. Hal returned to the cave with a small team and special clearance. They went deeper this time, beyond where the miners had stopped. That's when they discovered a second tunnel, narrow recently, cleared with faint boot prints in the dust. It led to a hidden chamber. The air was heavy, the silence crushing. On the walls were more symbols, strange writings that matched the notebook found in the sealed case. In the corner, a rusted chair, shackles still bolted to stone. Who had been kept here? Or more chilling was this, where Carla and Dana had ended up. Suddenly, the radio signal dropped. One by one, the team's comms went dead. Hale's flashlight flickered. Something didn't feel right. The deeper they searched, the more they realized they weren't alone. Footsteps echoed from deeper within the tunnel, measured, deliberate. The team froze. Whoever was down there wasn't running. They were watching. Back at headquarters, new intel arrived. Financial records tied to a defunct mining company showed large anonymous deposits, all dated around the time of the agent's disappearance. That company? It was now linked to a private security firm, one with ex-military ties and a history of working in off-the-books operations. Carla and Dana had clearly stumbled into something organized, protected, and dangerous. Now Hale was close to close. And someone, somewhere in the shadows, was ready to stop him before the truth ever saw daylight. The air inside the hidden tunnel grew colder the farther they went. Hale's team, already rattled by the silence and the fading signals, moved cautiously, each step echoing through the stone like a warning. Dust hung thick in the air, and every creak or crunch beneath their boots sounded like it came from something just out of sight. The walls were marked not just by old carvings, but by recent ones, scratches that looked desperate, as if someone had tried to leave a message. Faded letters spelled fragments of words. Trapped, listen, not. Alone, they reached a rusted door half buried in rock. Hale forced it open. Inside was a narrow room, most like a bunker. In one corner, a table held scattered files and torn maps. One file had Dana Hill's photo clipped to it. Beneath it, a blurry photo that showed two women, hands bound, faces covered, being escorted through a canyon. Hale's heart dropped. They had been alive, at least for a while. Suddenly, the door slammed behind them. Their radios didn't work. One of the team members tried calling out, but only silence answered back. Then, from deep within the rock, came a low mechanical hum, like a generator powering up. The room shook. Lights in the tunnel began to flicker, revealing more shadows, more movement. Someone was watching. Hale whispered for everyone to stay quiet. Back above ground, another strange piece of evidence surfaced. A warehouse lease registered under a fake name with a location less than 5 miles from the cave. A drone flyover showed armed guards. Whoever was running this operation had resources and they knew the D was closing in. Underground, the tension reached its peak. Hale had to make a choice: move forward into the unknown or turn back. But something told him the answers were just beyond the next door, and someone was waiting on the other side. Hal gripped his flashlight tightly as he slowly pushed open the next steel door. Behind it was a chamber unlike anything they expected, lined with old monitors, surveillance footage looping from various desert paths and mountain trails. Some of the footage was dated as recent as last week. It wasn't just a hideout. It was a control center. And someone had been watching this region for years, tracking movements, intercepting agents, possibly even manipulating entire investigations. In the corner of the room sat a chair facing away from them. Hale raised his weapon and approached. "Carefully, D," he called out. "Turn around slowly." The chair turned, and to everyone's shock, it wasn't a stranger, it was Carla Reyes. Alive, her face was worn, eyes sunken, but filled with fire. She stood up shakily. "You're too late," she said quietly. "They're already moving everything." As Hale and his team tried to piece together what she meant, Carla explained everything in broken pieces. She and Dana had uncovered a secret route not just used for drug smuggling, but for illegal weapons and tech trafficking tied to a private contractor operating with government blind spots. When they reported it, someone inside leaked their location. They were taken, interrogated, and locked underground. Used as bargaining chips in a silent war that no one would admit existed. Dana hadn't made it. She died trying to escape during a failed breakout years ago. Carla helped guide them to the final tunnel, where crates of equipment were packed and ready for removal. But before the team could call in backup, the ground shook with an explosion. The warehouse 5 miles away had gone up in flames. Evidence gone. Whoever was behind this had burned it all before anyone could get there. As Hale led Carla out of the cave, something still didn't sit right. She knew too much. Too many details about movements, names, locations, even ones Hale hadn't shared yet. And just before she was taken into protective custody, Carla whispered, "They didn't just leave me behind. They gave me a choice." Then she smiled, calm, unreadable, and Hale realized maybe she hadn't just survived. Maybe she had joined them. Weeks later, Carla Reyes was moved to a secure federal facility for debriefing, but every answer she gave only raised more questions. Her timelines were precise, her details sharp, almost rehearsed. Hale couldn't shake the feeling that somewhere along the line, she had stopped being a victim and become something else, someone tied to the very people she once fought against. Still, her testimony helped identify key figures in the private contractor network. A few arrests followed, but the core group remained in the wind, like shadows disappearing into the desert. Agent Hale filed his final report, knowing it barely scratched the surface. Dana Hill was posthumously honored for her service, and a memorial was placed near the trailhead where they first vanished. Hawley stood there alone one evening, watching the sun dip behind the mountains, thinking about how a simple mission had turned into a web of silence, betrayal, and buried secrets. The cave system was sealed again by federal order, marked unsafe, though he knew that wasn't the real reason. Some places weren't meant to be reopened. In the end, the story of the 2 missing D agents became more than a cold case. It exposed how far some groups would go to protect illegal trade routes, and how even within powerful systems, truth can be silenced. Carla's return gave closure, but her final words haunted Hale. They gave me a choice. What was the price of survival in a world like that? The desert keeps its secrets well. And even when light shines in, some shadows never truly disappear. But for now, the case is closed, at least on paper. Deep down, Hale knows the story isn't really over. It's just waiting for the next person to ask the wrong question in the right place.